meeting to order. Tonight, this is what I get to do as moderator now, instead of actually moderating over the town meeting at Jim. We'll go over each one of the articles, and if anybody has any questions, we'll go through each article and I'll ask if there are any questions. I'll read what the article is, and then it'll be an open floor. And if there aren't any questions, we'll move to the next article. Yes?
For housekeeping, if folks want to ask a question, if they would, please step to the microphone. GMATV was in here earlier today, and the microphone is not sensitive enough to pick up people in the back of the room.
Okay.
Because of the limited number of people, I'm going to make an aisle through here for just a second. I'll try and be quiet.
Okay, yep. We all set her?
We are. Thank you.
All right. Are there any changes to the agenda or additions for the informational meeting? So why don't we move forward? Let's review and discuss Article 3. Shall the voters authorize the select board to appoint a first constable and, if needed, a second constable in accordance with 17 VSA Section 2651A. Are there any questions or discussion on that on Article 3? Seeing none, we will go to Article 4. Article 4 reads, shall the voters establish a reserve fund to be called the general fund, unallocated reserve fund, in an amount not to exceed 10% of the prior year's audited general fund balance, to be used for covering unanticipated revenue shortfalls and to pay unanticipated general fund expenditures in accordance with 26 VSA Section 2804.
It's 24 VSA.
Excuse me, 24 VSA Section 2804. Are there any questions or is any discussion about Article 4? Yes, Marianne?
This will go along with the next article too, but do we have any idea what the anticipated 10% of the revenue will be, the carry forward?
To Tina question. Do you want to put Tina? And you introduce yourself too, please.
I'm Tina Sweet, the Finance Director. If you will refer to page 27 of the annual report. You will see that the fund balance cumulative surplus June 30, 2021 is $818,850 for the general fund. And down further, you'll see under the restricted funds, unassigned highway fund balance of $397,718. Those are the audited fund balances for this figure. Does that answer your question?
It's the carry forward.
It's what, yes, it's what we have. That's right.
So 10% of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Are there other questions or further discussion with regard to Article 4? Seeing none, we'll move on to review and discuss Article 5. Shall the voters establish a reserve fund to be called the Highway Fund Unallocated Reserve Fund in an amount not to exceed 10% of the prior year's audited highway fund balance, to be used for covering unanticipated revenue shortfalls and to pay unanticipated highway fund expenditures in accordance with 24 VSA Section 2804. Is there any discussion or questions with regard to Article 5? Anybody on the screen?
Somebody's got their hand up there.
Who?
Oh, no,
Okay,
where'd it go?
I think we're all set. Okay, we'll go on to Article 6. Shall the voters authorize total fund expenditures for operating expenses of $104,941, of which $6,616,549 shall be raised by taxes, and $1,488,392 by non-tax revenues. Are there any questions or discussion?
What page would we find that on?
Well, yeah. If you look on page 25 of your town report, you will see the overview there which details this information.
Are there any questions or is there any discussion? Anything else? Okay, so we'll move on to Article 7. Shall the voters authorize bridge repair and replacement in the town of Morristown in an amount not to exceed $510,000 to be financed over a period not to exceed 10 years? Is there any discussion or questions about Article 7? Any, okay, no questions, no discussion. We'll move on to Article 8. Shall the voters authorize asphalt paving of various town roads in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to be financed over a period not to exceed 5 years? Are there any questions or is there any discussion of Article 8?
I did have a question that came from a voter about this, and they were asking if we knew what roads they were going to be used for. Do we have a rundown on that?
Sure, you get it close to the microphone, talk softly. So, the $500,000 we asked for 5 years ago for the same article. That $500,000 loan sunsets this year, final payment being made in May, correct? So the ask for the $500,000 this year would carry a similar payment fee. So I'm not trying to play magic with numbers. By not having it would lower the taxes. By leaving it in place, you won't see any difference in your taxes because we're already making that same or similar payment. I can't speak to interest rates. However, specifically on roads, last year we started a project on the Garfield Road. It's 1.25 miles. It's a road that we unfortunately own the steepest section of, and at the top of that are a couple of gravel pits. So, summertime, spring, summer, fall, when those pits are operational, the road sees a tremendous amount of heavy truck traffic loaded on the way down the hill. The road, to the best of my knowledge, has not seen new pavement in almost 30 years. It was a disaster. The inside corners were eaten up completely. Trucks were going to the other lane on the lower corner near Vermont 8 Acres intersection, and it was just a hazard waiting for a place to happen. We last summer started a extensive replacement of the culverts up through there. We replaced 13 culverts with the anticipation of paving the road this coming summer in construction season. So the $500,000 is an ask for that is a primary focus. That will take the largest portion of the $500,000 to repave the road, just due to the fact we need to grind the road, which is a process we don't normally do on roads. We typically resurfacing our roads, we do a shim coat and an 1.5 inch overlay. This road needed rebuilding from the ground up, basically. So we need to grind the road and then put down an asphalt layer, and in particular on the steep slope, it needs to go down pretty thick. So I'm going to say in the ballpark of 4 to 5 inches in thickness through there. I'm not the expert on laying blacktop. There needs to be preparation of the gravel itself, compaction, and the application. Again, not my realm here. So, but there's a binding agent that works with the pavement and the gravel, because as you can imagine, a loaded 10-wheeler coming down the hill creates friction. And if there isn't any adherence between the base layer and the pavement, you get a sliding of the pavement and it breaks up and the road it gets destroyed pretty quickly. So there's more expenses with that road. Any money left over will be applied to the roads we already have on our list. We have paving money left over from last year that we're going to apply this year. Foundry Street is getting rebuilt. Best Street is another street we had targeted. However, Best Street, as we learned from talking to Water and Light, is a street they're focusing on. We're replacing the water line. So it didn't make sense for us to put out new pavement for them to dig it back up again. Kevin, help me on one of the other roads on that list as we were working down through.
We have Stagecoach,
I'll get to Stagecoach and Randolph Road.
okay, Randolph, so then we have parking lot. Other than Best Street and Foundry, we didn't have anything left from
That
last
was
year.
it.
Was Town Hill one of the ones we were talking about?
Challenge Hill was one that we put on the list last year, but it got
Right.
removed.
So, again, we have our list of roads in the worst shape going forward, and we'll spend the money as we can. If the money is enough for the tonnage to complete the road project, that's where we'll spend it. Stagecoach Road and Randolph Road are, we get state reimbursement money for those every 5 years. This is the 5th year this summer coming up. So we're being allotted approximately $75,000 for each road. So we're going to use our annual paving budget of $190,000 in conjunction with the money from the state. We have to do a 50% match. So we're going to be paving from the corner store north to Katie's Falls Road and get that section straightened out. Randolph Road, we're going to be paving from roughly the old Valcourt farm north past the school through the curves there toward the sawmill. I don't know exactly where we're stopping on that piece of it, but those are the focuses there. The idea behind the $500,000 is the more volume of pavement we can buy in 1 year, the better price we can get when we go out and get it. So with our state aid money coming in this year, our normal $190,000 in our budget, the $500,000 ask of the taxpayers, we're hoping to get a better price on our blacktop and they can go further.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or discussion with regard to Article 8? Seeing none, we'll move on to Article 9. Article 9 reads, shall the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes in 2 equal installments, with the due dates being November 15th, 2022 and May 15th, 2023 by physical delivery to the town treasurer before 4 p.m. on that date, or delivery to the municipal office postmarked on or before that date. Is there any discussion or questions about Article 9? Okay. Article 10. Shall the voters authorize raising taxes equal to 1 cent on the grand list to be dedicated to a Morristown Fire Department Capital Equipment Fund? Are there any questions or is there any discussion with regard to Article 10?
What have you figured out what a penny raise is this year?
64.
$66,000.
66.
Based on last year's tax rate,
Yep.
$66,000.
For those of you at home, a penny raises $66,000 on the grand list. Is there any other questions or discussion with regard to Article 10? We'll move on to Article 11. Shall the voters authorize raising taxes equal to 1 cent on the grand list to be dedicated to a Morristown Highway Department capital equipment fund? That's Article 11. Is there any discussion or questions with regard to Article 11? Seeing none, we'll move on to Article 12. Article 12 asks, shall the voters authorize raising taxes equal to 1/2 cent on the grand list to be dedicated to the Noyes House Museum Repair and Maintenance Fund? Are there any questions with regard to Article 12? If there are no questions with regard to Article 12, we can move on to Article 13. Shall the voters authorize raising taxes equal to 1/2 cent on the grand list to be dedicated to the Morristown Conservation Commission Fund? Are there any questions or is there any discussion with regard to Article 13? See any questions or discussion? Article 14 is, shall the voters appropriate a sum of $101,969 for the following service agencies pursuant to 24 VSA 2691. $900 to Capstone Community Action, $2,900 to Central Vermont Adult Basic Education, $2,500 to Central Vermont Council on Aging, $1,750 to Clarina Howard Nichols Center, $15,000 to Everyone Equals Morristown Community Center, $1,000 Justice for Dogs, $2,500 for Lamoille County Civic Association, $5,000 for Lamoille County Food Share, $1,000 Lamoille County Habitat for Humanity, $3,900 for Lamoille County Mental Health Community Connections, $4,000 for Lamoille Day Services, $4,000 for Lamoille Economic Development Council, $3,000 for Lamoille Family Center, $15,681 to Lamoille Home Health and Hospice, $1,000 for Lamoille Housing Partnership, $1,500 for Lamoille Restorative Center, $3,375 to the Lamoille County Special Investigation Unit, $10,000 to Meals on Wheels of Lamoille County, $1,000 to North Country Animal League, $1,000 to Retired Senior Volunteer Program, also known as RSVP, $10,000 to River Arts, $10,963 to Rural Community Transportation, also known as RCT. Is there any discussion or questions about this article? Who's that?
Yes, Jim Wilkinson Ray.
Who?
Jim Wilkinson Ray
Okay.
has a question. He's muted.
Can we unmute?
I just, I hit ask to unmute, so he needs to do the rest.
What's his name, last name? Mr. Ray?
Wilkinson Ray.
Mr. Ray, if you can hear us, recognizing your hand is raised on the screen here. If you'd like to ask your question, go ahead and unmute.
Okay. Well, while we wait to see whether that question, Marianne, can you step to the microphone?
I have a question about Everyone Equals Morristown Community Center. And E equals MC squared as we know it no longer exists. And I wondered if the people who are going to try to revise this have come to the board and asked that you keep this appropriation without it being petitioned. The people who ran E equals MC squared are no longer involved, but some other groups are hoping to pick up the mantle. And so I just wondered if there's conversation about this and if you know how it's going and where it's going.
Right.
I can speak to that. So there was a meeting here, there was a meeting here about a week ago. Myself and Tricia met with Stuart May. Stuart is the new CEO for the Loyal Health Partnership. He is spearheading the effort behind bringing together community partners like the Laraway School and several others that are escaping me at this moment, but they are looking to take this, rebrand it in a sense, but continue with the community center thought process, trying to involve all age groups and see where they can take it. There's going to be putting money behind it from these organizations, so they're looking to continue the funding as it is. Marianne's correct about the folks who began it and got it structured and up and going, but these groups have come together now and are working in partnership to carry the program forward. So they're still looking to have that money in there. Their report is in the back of the town report.
And this money's not released until July, after July 1, October. Okay, so would we have some way of doing a check on this to make sure we're not giving money to an organization that isn't functioning yet?
I have no doubt that I'll be having more conversations with Mr. May. He's a very unforgettable individual, a lot of high energy. Came out very genuine with a lot of good focus, with the community focus and the ability to wrap around services using the community center.
Thank you.
But I have no issue going and have more meetings with him and bring back a report to the board.
Great, thank you.
Laura?
Good evening, Laura Streets. In regards to that, I would also like to know if they received the money in October, saying there was COVID, where did last year's money go? If they were closed, was it used? Just curious. I'd also curious about, I was doing some research on these, on the RSVP. There doesn't seem to be an office in Morrisville or Lamoille County. The closest one I could find was Barry. Do we have any assurances that this $1,000 being spent in Morrisville? Is my information wrong, perhaps?
I'm sorry, I'm still making notes on the
Okay.
equality squared.
Okay. So I'm curious what happened to the October money, because it doesn't, their website doesn't show that there's been any activity since last summer.
RSVP or E equals MC squared?
The first
The
one.
first, okay. So I don't know. These appropriations are on there. We get a letter from them and we ask for their financial report from them. We put the letter into the town report, but not the financials. And we have all the other reports in the back office so we can get our hands on them.
Yeah, as a taxpayer,
Really, I'm sorry, Laura, and to answer your point, I don't know where
okay,
their impact is, I guess is the question you're asking. Are they spending it in Morrisville?
yeah, I just think we would, I as a taxpayer would like to have assurances if we're sending checks out of the county that we indeed are receiving $1,000 worth of services. Because I understand they used to be here, but I'm not sure when they moved. Thank you.
So are there any other questions about Article 14 or any further discussion? Marianne?
I'd like to just follow up with what Laura said. If I don't approve of 15,000 to E equals MC squared, and I want to vote no, then I have to vote no against all these other ones. We can't pick and choose because we can't amend, because we're not at town meeting.
That's right.
So going along with what Laura said, where is last year's 15,000 and how did it get used? And then we're gonna give them another 15,000 and it's not even the same organization. If they didn't use last year's money, then the law says they have to return it to the town.
I don't want to guess at things, but I can presume, because they still have control of the building on Union Street that they work out of. There was a rent to be paid, so there were expenses that they were incurring last year to keep the building itself. But I can't speak for them, and I don't have their financial account.
So it sounds like, is there a mechanism that we can get that information out to the community to answer the question?
I should think so, through our webpage or, yeah, I mean, we have our social media sites that we normally present information through.
Yep.
But specifically, I will get the answers back to both of the folks that questioned things tonight, to give them their direct answers.
It sounds like it's an area that's kind of new territory.
Yep.
You know, we haven't had that happen before, since I've been on. And it's a very good point, you know, what Mary Ann said, you know, if these folks are no longer in existence and they're not gonna be using that money, and you vote no on Article 14, all these other folks won't get their money either. So we should have something thought about and planned for that occurrence. We haven't in the past because of COVID, because of everything else. We've never had to address that. But that is problematic for so many things being in one article. And perhaps we might do some more thought on that, or have some contingencies on some of those events that could happen.
I know the youth center that was housed at the former Congregational Church
Right.
stopped providing that service, and they also contacted the town and said, we no longer need that money. So they took it upon themselves to be honest up front about it.
Right. I think it's definitely good to have a conversation with those folks anyway. You know, if they're not doing it anymore, you know, it's unrealistic for the town to put that money up. And what Laura said, the money what happened to last year's, maybe it was used, we want to know. You know, and we had conversations in the past where all of these people that are asking for money have come. We've asked them to show up at these meetings. We didn't at this one. Maybe we should have, but that is not an easy order either. It's sometimes hard. We oftentimes had requested people to be up at town meeting when it happens. So when these questions come up, the people can have a spokesperson and say, like I remember the RSVP one of the last times it was up there were some questions about it, you know. Is it used in our area? You know, an office that's in Barry or something perhaps, you know, it's like, okay, where are you using that in our town? It's a great question. And that's why it's good to have people here to be able to speak to that. And obviously Eric is not prepared to do that, but we certainly can do research about these ones you're mentioning and follow up with it.
I'm wondering if the RSVP is not similar to the Council on Aging, because the Council on Aging's main office is in Barry, even though we have a branch here.
Right.
So I wonder if it's
I
similar to
think
that.
they came to us the last time
Yeah,
and explained what was going on.
exactly. They did, because we questioned them on it.
Yes,
And they did come.
and I think it's a good thing to question all of these and keep track of them myself. Because again, we shouldn't be sending money to Barry, our tax money, if we're not getting something back. So I agree.
This one article probably receives more questions
It
from
does.
taxpayers than any other article we have.
Yeah.
It has been, we have morphed the process for this a couple of times in the last few years.
Yeah.
And obviously it still needs work, so we'll continue on that process.
Yeah. Many times these articles were amended from the floor and added more to say Lamoille County Food Share or whatever, you know, go ahead, Gary.
According to their report, in the town report, part of it, in 2021, E equals MC squared was able to offer summer programming to youth in the community from early July to mid-August. Greg Davis, PE teacher at Lamoille Union Middle School, coordinated a variety of events and activities including art projects, basketball, gaming series, movies, team building and leadership development activities, and a barbecue to wrap up the summer season. These activities provided the opportunity for fun, building self-confidence, leadership skill development, and greater awareness and understanding of the local community. E equals MC squared was also able to complete the renovation of the second floor, which includes a kitchen, a bathroom, and storage space. Looking to 2022, E equals MC squared will relaunch after school programming for youth, including new activities in the second floor space. Other youth and adult programs will be restarted in the spring and summer of 2022. E equals MC squared is also excited to announce a new partnership with Lamoille Health Partners. The partnership will also involve support from People's Academy Middle Level, Lamoille County Mental Health Services, and Laraway Youth and Family Services. Thank you for your continued support. And I talked with Dave McAllister and Tricia about that, and they have money in their budget that they're gonna contribute to this as well, and look forward to keeping the program going. So I hope that helps answer the question. I mean, I don't know if, it doesn't say if they used the whole 15,000 or what they used it for, but.
I can say I drove by all summer and never saw anything happening there.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no schedule, there's no, they announced he was coming, but there was no, and several other people have mentioned that they've driven by and there's, you know, and again, if you just send a check to them on October 15th, there's certainly nothing going on, you know, now, and we're sending it to people who technically weren't approved. It just needs to be a process.
Yeah, I don't.
Clarification,
Certainly don't disagree with that, and
Yeah.
appreciate you bringing it up, and it's, as everybody else has said, we agree, we need to maybe update our policies on checking on these.
Right, we need to look into it, because I mean, they could have subbed out all that renovation work and paid it with the money that came in, you know?
Right.
We don't know, but we need to find out.
My understanding is the building is now for sale. I could have information on, but, you know,
I don't know.
yeah, it's, Bourne owns it and that he's listed it for sale.
Are there other questions or further discussion on Article 14? If there's no further discussion and no further questions with regard to Article 14, the informational meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Shan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
I get to take this, Terry.
I think that
Says
is it.
SHAP replacement on it? Or am I just supposed to be replaced?
I don't know.
You figure it out.
It's our only copy though, so if you take.
No, you can do it. I don't want to.
You look much more visible.
What's that?
Everybody knew who you were with the gavel and that.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know who's
All right, so let's call the regular select board meeting to order at 6:34. Eric, are there any changes or additions to this?
Yes, there are. You would add two items to the agenda. Review and approve Oxbow Music Festival request for the park. And review and possibly approve an MOU with Harvard Police Department for services.
Okay, thank you. Next, approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve them.
Second.
I have a motion by Brian and a second by Judy. Is there any further discussion on this?
Sorry, guys, there's some questions in the chat still. I know the informational meeting is over, but someone had another question in the chat, so I think we just need to keep an eye on that.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah.
Are we in the community concern section yet, Bob?
Yes. Well, no, we're not quite yet. We're doing approve the minutes.
Scroll back here on the chat section. Before we get for questions.
We can do it when we do community concerns. You need some time, Eric? Let's.
No, the first question, you want to wait till Judy gets back?
What's that?
Do you want to wait till Judy gets back?
I'm here.
She's here.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't tell you.
Well, before we go to
Slide into
that,
the-
Yeah, we'll finish the motion to
Go for it.
approve the minutes.
Yeah, sorry.
Is there any further discussion on those?
I think that there's,
The first question here is from Chris Wiltshire, and he's asking that his name be
Be
added to
included.
the participant list in the minutes.
Okay.
He was here via Zoom.
Right.
And I will admit, we have not probably been keeping track of that
Zoom
participation.
attendees.
But we will actually start. That's a great point. Thank you, Chris.
We will do that, Chris.
Admittedly, there are some folks on here who I would need to have identified. Basil Baster, I'm not sure if that's a screen name or if that's a real name. I don't want to hurt anybody, but
Be careful with that.
yeah, I don't want to insult anyone, but I'm not sure if that's an actual surname or if that's a screen name.
Okay, is there any other discussion on approving the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Jess?
Yeah, sorry, I did want to just say one thing, just to follow up with the point I made in select board concerns. If we could just say that, we will revisit it, in, a subsequent meeting, because it just kind of leaves it open-ended.
Right.
The question about the Declaration of Inclusion, and I've done a little more legwork on that, but, if we could just say something about, we'll follow up in the future meeting, that'd be great.
Okay.
And
What is your vote on the minutes?
aye.
Thank you.
Well, aye, with that,
Right, gotcha.
caveat, yeah.
We've got it.
Thank you.
We got
Okay,
it.
thanks.
Any opposed? The minutes are passed. Next, community concerns. Is there community concerns tonight? Anybody out there virtually?
Yep, we're gonna move our way down through here. Nancy Banks has said, everyone, apologies for being late, but has anyone asked how the funds we received from the federal government under the CARES Act, how that is being used? So let me jump up the microphone real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
The money we received from the CARES Act has not been used. It's sitting on an account. Vermont League of Cities and Towns has encouraged us to be patient and deliberate with these monies. There's some more information recently had come out of Washington, and we're getting more updates from VLCT on how the money should be used or can be used. We're still in conversation with VLCT, but none of the money has been spent or appropriated as of yet.
How much money is there?
Just over 500.
500,000.
Just over 500,000.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other community concerns?
Ruth Brown has her hand up.
Okay, Ruth, go ahead.
Yes, hello. I wanted to just check in again about sidewalks and the Park Street sidewalk in particular. When I spoke with Eric a couple weeks ago, it is something that is not specifically addressed in the budget for next year. There's a money set aside for sidewalks and money from last year for sidewalks, but it seems like the select board would have to specifically apply money to Park Street to have our sidewalks put back in, and just wondering how we should continue to ask for that money.
Do you want to explain that, Eric?
So I've spoken to Ruth and her neighbor both about the issue. I asked them to come in to speak on this to the board. And my explanation to them was I just need direction from the board on Park Street. Now I can bring it as an agenda item for official vote during the next meeting. But I'm looking for direction as to whether or not the board intends to put the sidewalk back on Park Street where it was removed last summer.
Well, I thought we were going to have a conversation about all the sidewalks.
And we can do that as well. I can make that an agenda item, and we can add the sidewalks as just a general category, and we'll discuss all.
And that will be in there too.
Okay.
I'm just curious too, we talked about we have to get easements to put the sidewalk back.
That's correct.
We would
To
need to
make it
do that
ADA?
on Park Street. We would need to get easements. When this first came to our attention last summer, and we did a little research, we came across a document from the 50s where a gentleman had researched all the village streets that had sidewalks. And there was quite a list of them that easements were never obtained by the town for the sidewalks. The sidewalks were put in, and you can imagine back then it was, we don't have a sidewalk here, so they put a sidewalk in. The sidewalk to be put back in its former location is well outside of our highway right of way for Park Street. So we would need to obtain easements from all the property owners down Park Street where the sidewalk would cross. That process would have to be complete before we could even begin to lift the turf anywhere.
I'm curious about what that cost would be to get the easements. Is it very much?
I can speak to the cost of the easements that were received on Belanger Road, which was a road that was petitioned, the board was petitioned to take that over. Our town attorney provided the support for that, and the cost, I know from talking to Julia, companion, was $250 per household to have the easement granted to the town. I don't know if that would be the same dollar amount, but that was the experience there. I'm not sure how much different that would be.
All right, thank you.
So it sounds like the next step is that when we talk about sidewalks in general at maybe the next meeting, that if we could have a budget, a real budget with the numbers for what easements would cost for all those properties on Park Street, then we could make a informed decision. And I also know, Ruth, that you all had mentioned looking at some grants. I don't know if Eric already has that information or not, and if we could have that information when we talk about sidewalks in general, that would help.
Sure. I will talk to Pat Mickelson again. October was the deadline for the one that she had gotten information on last year, but I'm sure we can see what other grants are available for this coming year and present that information as well.
I'm actually meeting with Rob Moore from LCPC this week in reference to a lot of the grants that are coming out of the AOT for the upcoming season, so I'll pose that question of him as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth. All right, is there any more community concerns? Hearing none. Ooh, liquor control. Do I hear a motion to go into liquor control?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Judy and a second by Gary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jess?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now in liquor control. So these are all renewals, right, Sarah?
Yeah, there are 5 renewals: Moco, Riverbend Market, the Dollar General Store, Copley Country Club, and 10 Railroad Street. Jason here.
Jason?
Yep.
Any issues?
No issue.
Okay. And there's no changes within these.
That's what I was just gonna say. I'll make a motion, we approve them.
And a motion by Brian and a second by Gary. Is there any further discussion on these? All in favor say aye.
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 Jess?
Aye.
Any opposed? Their motion is passed. Do I hear a motion to come out of liquor control?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Judy and a second by Gary. All in favor say aye.
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 Jess?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now out of liquor control. Next, new business. Number 1, Lamoille Food Share presentation.
These first 2 items on the agenda, Bob, are the requests that the taxpayers asked us for at town meeting a number of years ago. And we request on a rotating basis as many as 5 of the organizations to come in and explain who they are, what it is they do for our community, and how the money that they receive from our taxpayers is spent. And this year, we've already had a couple speak last time, and one mental health was here and spoke to you folks. This time, Lamoille Food Share and Lamoille Special Investigations Unit, and Food Share will go first.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? This is Julie Bommingen. I'm representing Lamoille Community Food Share. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much for inviting us to present what we're all about. And I am here representing the board of directors and the staff at Lamoille Community Food Share. So we are a nonprofit, and our mission is to help support and improve the physical well-being of individuals who might otherwise go hungry. That's essentially our mission. We've been around a long time, and we've been adapting and adjusting, and we're quite nimble and have been able to really accommodate and adjust to the changing times over the years, and feel like we've been meeting the needs of our community quite well, with support from folks like yourself, from the town of Morristown, as well as our other core towns, which include Eden, Elmore, Hyde Park, Stowe, and Wolcott. I can assure you all, based on what I was hearing earlier, that we at Lamoille Community Food Share are responsibly and effectively using the funds that you've so generously given to us. $5,000 was given to us in 2021. Sounds like that's what's on for 2022. We easily within, first of all, did you all get the paperwork I had sent ahead? I'm not sure if that was given to you or not, but I provided some data to, I think, is it Sarah, perhaps, who I was communicating with via email. I sent her some information with some data with our figures and numbers that we put together for you all. So I hope you.
I don't have it in my packet.
Oh, that's too bad.
Sorry.
Well, I was hoping that you'd all have that in front of you, just because I don't want to go into the minutia of details and have it just be lost. Being able to look at a figure is certainly helpful, and I don't handle screen sharing and all that stuff all that well. So I was hoping to, sort of avoid having to do all that. Pardon me. In any case, maybe if those can be provided to you at some point, what we did have.
It looks like the in-person people have them.
Okay.
We do.
I'm sorry, I didn't get them, Jess.
I'm far away. No problem.
Okay, all right. Well, so Kevin Carter, who's our program manager, put together a list of the items that go into each, what we call our bag or sort of cart. I don't know how in the weeds and in the minutia of all this you all want me to get into, but I'm happy to give kind of an overview that just as an example, in the month of January of 2022, so just last month, we had 653 visits, and that's in 1 month. And that is really, it's hard for us to know how many individual people that's serving. It could be that a visit means that it's a family is coming to get some food, and we don't know if that family is 2 people or 4 or 6. We're not getting all the paperwork done that we used to do, because we're not having the same amount of contact that we used to when people would be coming into the food share on a regular basis, and we were able to really document a whole lot more about our data. And so all we really do at this point when people come through, what we have is a drive-through pickup of the food that they're coming through to get. We have a little tick list of how many visits, how many families or car loads were present that day, and we tally them up by the end of the month. And so for January, it was 653 visits. And each cart consists of all the things on the list that you have there in front of you. And so you can see it's, corn and green beans and tomato soup and chicken soup and fruit cocktail and pasta and rice pilaf, et cetera, et cetera. Additional items that go in the cart are milk, cheese, butter, eggs, meat, bread. And then we have an outside rack as well that always has a variety of goods that people can choose from, peanut butter, jelly, beans, rice, et cetera. And what our program manager was able to figure out that the high estimate for, and pretty accurate estimate for a cart load of food, so basically for a family, is $45.58 per cart or per bag. And that's the high, and the low would be maybe $36. So depending what people get. So if you did the math with that, the high would be that in the 1 month alone, we would have spent $29,763.74 for the month of January of this year alone. And the low at, let's say, $35 per bag it amounts to $22,855. And again, that's based on our January data, which was 653 visits. So you can see that the $5,000 that you so generously provided to us was really, used within a very short period of time. We are so grateful that we have donations and support community-wide, not only from the town of Morristown, but from individual private donors, from the food bank in Vermont, also from programs like the Green Bag program that we have been doing since 2013, which is a very successful program in terms of getting just donations from a variety of community residents in Lamoille County. We do our best to buy as much as we can from local resources. We really want to support our local growers, and of course that really takes place a lot more in the summer. We have some wonderful community partnerships, including with Salvation Farms. I think I saw that Teresa was on this call. So they've been a super support of ours. Lots of local farmers, just myself included. I'm not a farmer per se, but have my little personal home garden, and growing an extra row for the community food share is something that I try to do, and bring in produce as much as I can. And so there's lots of people like me that are doing that very generously in the summer. So we're trying to pull resources and support from a variety of people and entities. And a big shout out to Max Market has been really incredibly helpful to us during the pandemic. There's been supply chain issues and so on and so forth. We've really been having to, sort of course correct and be nimble with how we're getting the food that we need. We're always looking for the best prices. And let's see, what else can I share? I mean, we spend more than $1,000 just in 1 week on the butter, milk, eggs, and cheese from Mansfield Dairy. So really, again, trying to support our local farmers and growers. So, that's just one example. If you do have that data, you can see the increase in the visits over the course of, from 2019 to 2020, from 2020 to 2021, et cetera. And it's gone up remarkably. And we are just trying to provide the needs, meet the needs of the community as best we can. And we do hope that we'll get back to this place of being able to have folks come in again and shop and be able to sort of tally a little bit more of the data and have a little more of that personalized approach that we really aspire to always have with our clients.
Somehow, somebody since the last time I used this mic.
Is there somebody talking?
Yeah, Nancy. Nancy, could you mute yourself?
Mute. I wasn't sure if somebody was asking me a question. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No worries. So I could sort of just direct you gently to our website. We have a really you know, it's nothing super fancy, but it has a lot of great information about who we are and what we're doing and how we do what we do. There's lots of opportunities for volunteers and other types of community support. We have regular board meetings. We have wonderful volunteers. We have a plan to do a summer retreat to sort of think about, you know, how else we can evolve. We have a new equity statement that we've put on our website, and we're working towards just, you know, really working on the equity theme in general and diversifying our board. Yeah, so there's lots of good energy, and we're excited to do the work we're doing. We're honored to do it, and we really appreciate all the support from the communities, yours as well as the broader Lamoille community, and really look forward to continuing to do our work. And I'm happy to answer, you know, there's so much more I could say, but I can leave it at that. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them tonight or get back to you with the answers if I don't have them. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
I don't have any questions. My thought was, it'd be nice if we could get this information, or if you could get this information out to the public, because it's pretty powerful. The numbers, people that were affected, especially during COVID, and the increase in your services.
Yeah, it's a nice idea. We do have a newsletter that we put out twice a year, and we tend to you know, sort of detail some of those figures. But you're right; that would just be going out to our donors more so than to the general public. On occasion, in the past, there's been some information in the local paper, you know, some articles. So maybe what we could do is think about the April or May newsletter, pulling an article from that sort of gives these updated figures and put that in the local paper, and just so people can see what's really going on. You know, this is real stuff that's happening, and that's a really nice idea. Thank you.
Go ahead,
Bob, I got one. Is there any requirements to being able to stop in there and get a bag of groceries or cart full?
You know, they're really, you know, in the past, what we did would people would actually come in and they would just look at the income level that qualifies them to come in and use the food shelf. And there's never been a person that didn't, you know, meet that standard, if you will. But we have not been looking at paperwork at all, because we're not having people come in, and we're not, unfortunately, we just haven't been able to do that kind of interaction with folks because of the drive-through. But we are not excluding anyone whatsoever at this point. And yes, there may be, I mean, I suppose it's always possible that there's somebody that might be exploiting that, but I can assure you that the vast, vast majority of people that are coming are people that are there for need. And sometimes people are coming through the drive-through and picking up for other families that don't have the transportation options. But we're not limiting visits at this point. And most people who come more than once a month are people who are, you know, have larger families, because again, they're not coming in and shopping for their family of 8 like they used to. They're getting one bag. They're getting a standard bag of goods that is going to everybody. So if you are one person and you get that bag, that's going to probably, you know, serve you for the month. But if you're a family of 4 or 6 or 8, that one bag is simply not going to be enough. So they may be coming back, you know, several times within a month. And we used to track all that and have some limits and sort of a general culture of, you know, you come once a month unless there's a pressing need. But we just have not been saying no to people these last 2 years in particular. And I think you could all probably venture to guess why. So trying to be really just gracious and respectful, and trying to figure out the best way to support our community right now. And as I said before, we are nimble and looking forward to evolving and getting back to some of our standard practices. So.
Okay, thank you. I think you do a tremendous job over there. And matter of fact, I live right across the street, so I see the
Nice.
days when you have it open, and yeah, you're certainly serving a great need, and especially during this, like you say, the last couple of years. It's,
right.
I can see why you wouldn't ask many questions, and just because I'm sure generally people are going to be pretty honest about if they need it, and I'm sure that 99.5% of them certainly do need it.
Correct. I appreciate the support, and it really is the whole community at large that makes it possible. And I'm proud to be a part of a community that cares so much for each other. It's something we all need to be doing more of in these times, I think, in all kinds of ways. So yeah, thank you all again.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, next, are we doing the special investigation one?
Yes.
Is that Jason?
No,
Huh?
they're online.
Huh.
Patty?
Oh, hi. Welcome.
Good evening. Can you see me?
Yeah,
Can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you, which is better.
Good. I'm the assistant, administrative assistant at the CAC. What we do, Lamoille County Special Investigations Unit Child Advocacy Center is a multi-agency task force created by the state legislature in 2017. We respond to reports of child sexual abuse, serious child physical abuse, sexual assault, and abuse of vulnerable adults. We conduct criminal investigations, prosecute substantiated crimes, provide support and services to victims for their non-offending caregivers, responds to other related concerns such as sex offender registry and child pornography. We also provide a neutral, safe, and child-friendly space where investigators and other professionals can interview the children about reported abuse. The support in space makes it less stressful for children and family who have already experienced trauma. Our space is absolutely beautiful. We have a nice waiting room. There's lots of books and things for the kids to enjoy while they're waiting. Who we are, our staff includes a full-time executive director, a case coordinator, and a part-time administrative assistant. Our multidisciplinary team has representation from the Clarina Howard Nichols Center, the Department of Child and Families, Morristown Police, Stowe Police, Lamoille County Sheriff's Department, and Vermont State Police. Lamoille County State's Attorney's Office as well. We also work with Lamoille County Mental Health, Morrisville Probation and Parole, the UVM Child Safe Program, Copley Hospital, and various schools and administrations, medical and therapeutic organizations. Who we serve. In FY21, we were involved with 96 allegations of sexual assault or physical abuse in Lamoille County. 85 of them were children, 11 of them were adults. So far in FY22, we have been involved in 107 cases. We have 4 months left in this fiscal year. Where are we going? In June of 2020, we had our site visit for the national accreditation, and we were granted full accreditation by the National Children's Alliance in September of 2020. Accreditation made us eligible for additional funding and training opportunities to help us provide the best possible service for our clients. Within the next 3 years, we will renew our accreditation and expect more outreach, education, and training for parents and professionals, and increased supports and healing for both children and families. Why we matter? We promote cooperation between municipalities, law enforcement agencies, the medical mental health community, children protection services, and victim advocacy groups. We are committed to conducting quality investigations that result in prosecution, reducing stress and trauma to the victim, and protecting victims and the community. Professionals in the unit are specially trained to deal with the unique and sensitive nature of sex crimes and crimes against children and other vulnerable populations. Our team comes together on a monthly basis to discuss cases and follow the cases until the case has completed prosecution or has been closed. That's what we do.
Sounds pretty awesome.
And we do use the money. We use it to buy snacks, food, that sort of stuff for the kids when they come into the center. Transportation for families if they don't have it.
Great. Is there any comments or questions? Thank you so much for that.
Bob, can I ask one question? I'm curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Patty, what was the increase in caseload from before COVID? Did you see an increase?
During COVID, it was hard for us to track anything. We too were not interacting as personally as we are kind of now, but we are up already this year from last year.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to number 3, review and discuss the local hazard mitigation plan.
So this is a plan we've been working on with Stephanie Magden of Seam Solutions. Stephanie spent a lot of years at Vermont Emergency Management, and this is really her bailiwick that she lived in there and continues to serve people with. She's helped us to write our plan. We have to review and rewrite the plan every 5 years. We are in our 5th year now. And the product she sent me late this afternoon was a final formatted product. It'll be on display on our website. LCPC will get it. Alec Jones over there is their representative that will be reviewing the plan. It will be sent to the Vermont Emergency Management for review for completeness. I can tell you that in the quick, short amount of time that I had to review it today, I have found some data mistakes in there, some grammatical errors in there that will be corrected. And the formatting on it was, because it's in draft form, the format will change, so the page breaks are certainly easier to read from page to page. But the product itself has the core of our plan. It's 35 pages long. Length doesn't equal quality, but I can tell you that she's done a great job. It covers a tremendous amount of information. Public input on that can be directed to my office, either through email or phone calls. It'll be on display for several weeks. I'll be bringing it back to you for final approval with changes made later in March. By then we should have heard back from all the state agencies with their approval, and hopefully the public has taken time to digest it and will give us some feedback.
Is that it?
That's it on that one, yes.
Do we need to make any action tonight?
No action tonight. This is simply giving you the plan. You have copies of it. Sarah handed those out earlier, or she hasn't. She's got them in one of her folders.
I haven't seen it yet.
I think that's what she's doing.
I think she's doing it.
Copying of that.
It's in process.
Yes. So you'll have copies of those to take home tonight.
Okay.
Bedtime
you.
reading.
Sounds good. Any comments about that from the board members? Jess?
No comments about that.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. Next, we'll do number 4, review and approve the road name, Goose Farm Lane.
But that road's already named. Oh, maybe it's not a sign, there's a sign on the rock. It's not an official road sign. Okay.
This is the road, the old sawmill on Randolph Road,
Yeah.
just south of the Roadway Road intersection. This road takes off from there off of the sawmill and serves as a multi-lot subdivision out there. And it is the owner of the property who is requesting the name.
It's been approved from the 911.
It had been
Yeah.
approved to the 911 board, yes.
I make a motion to approve the Goose Farm Lane, and that's the town place the sign and the post.
All right, I have a
Second.
motion by Gary and a second by Judy. Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
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 Jess, any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. And that, I'm signing that right now. 2/22. 22.
2/2/22.
Oh, yeah.
2/22/22.
2/22/22.
Yeah. All right. Next, discuss the staffing proposal from LRSWMD.
Susan Alexander reached out to me and requested a meet and greet, pretty much, down at the transfer station on Parker Road by the town highway garage. Charles Cooley, our representative from Morristown to the district, was there with her, and we just talked because I hadn't met her. We hadn't been down to see the site and discuss some of the issues they're facing right now. The biggest one is staffing. I think everybody's noticed and uses the site, but there's one Saturday a month that they are not open. And, you know, we've got to require our residents to go to a different site to get rid of their stuff. They don't like that, but they're facing the same staffing issues that many other businesses are facing around the area and around the country. So they are proposing or requesting of the board approval to utilize members of the highway department to staff that site on the one Saturday a month that they don't have coverage for. I told them I'd bring it to you folks to get either approval or disapproval. And if I had your approval, then I will approach the highway department, speak to them about staffing that. It was an opportunity one Saturday a month throughout much of the year. I told them the winter time would probably not be ideal. Kevin was with us when we met, but that we'd love to help out where we could. It was an overtime opportunity, and the district said that they would reimburse our cost for those employees overtime.
That's good.
So it's kind of a win-win because they can get overtime if they want.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But it's not a mandated.
It is not, it wouldn't be mandated overtime, no. It would be a volunteer basis. My next conversation will be through Kevin with the highway department guys to see if there's any interest.
Right.
If there is some interest, then we'll move forward. We'll develop an MOU, which I'll bring back to you folks for approval and signature.
Have you asked that already, Kevin?
I've put feelers out, yes. A little bit of interest, but it depends on the weather.
Right.
Wrong time of year to ask the guys if they want.
Yeah, good point.
Especially after they've plowed for 2 or 3 days in a row.
Exactly.
So do we need to take any action tonight on this?
If you would make a motion to approve the use of the town highway to staff that one Saturday a month.
If they agree to it.
If available, that would be fine. That would give me the ability to go forward with an MOU and get that in the works.
Make a motion that we allow the staff, our road crew, to work for the LRSWMD, an optional for them, and they will be paid by our LRSWMD.
The Loyal Regionals.
The district.
Easier to say it.
Easier to say it than
I
it
think
is.
it is.
The town will be reimbursed.
Yes.
And will they be paid their normal rate?
They would pay their overtime rate, yes.
So I have a motion
They'll
by
be
Judy.
paid by the town and reimbursed by
Town will be reimbursed.
solid waste
We'll
district.
send a bill, yes.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, but I'm not, I second it, but I'm not sure that we're not getting the cart before the horse. I'm wondering if we ought
We
to
are.
have,
It was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I could go ask the guys if they're interested and then come see you, or come get permission and then go see them afterwards. If I don't get any interest from the highway department, then I will call Susan and let her know.
be a moot point.
It'll be a moot point, but.
But we
Because
can be
we're talking
ready.
about entering into an MOU, I really felt I needed to talk to you folks first.
Right. So is there any further discussion on this motion?
Wouldn't it make more sense to talk to them about going down and hire out to solid waste? Rather than,
I'm not sure they'd want to go down and work for 6 hours of straight time.
no, but the town could reimburse them, and what the difference? So what's the pay they're getting now?
Who are you referring to?
Okay, whoever you're gonna send, roughly.
Our highway guys?
Yeah,
Depends on which one you're talking about.
ballpark. Because the solid waste right now on the weekend pays $17 an hour.
Their overtime rate is gonna be substantially more than that.
Okay. Well, maybe that makes a difference, but it just makes more sense with less paperwork and all that if they'd go down and hire out. That's my idea, my thoughts.
I'm not sure would $17 an hour be enough incentive.
Probably not. Okay.
Right, it's there.
That's probably why we aren't getting anybody.
Probably not.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
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 Jess?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. All right, the two ones you added, approved the Oxbow request, we have it here.
This Aqua Music Festival is an annual festival. This is the one that Nick Nolan organizes and works with Moves. Because this involves an alcohol event, I brought this in front of you. It wasn't something I would approve from my desk. This happens, this event happens every year. I don't see any changes this year from last year as far as their request goes. And pending receiving their insurance certificate, everything else is in order.
Jason, how's that gone in the past?
I don't believe we've ever been contracted to go down there and have a presence, but I also don't recall any issues.
That's what I wondered. Okay. Do I hear a motion regarding this?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion by Brian, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Judy. Any further discussion on this?
I would just add the other reason to bring it in front of you is because the request is to play until 11 p.m., which is 1 hour past the normal time for play.
Is it a Friday or Saturday night?
I believe it's Saturday night. It's always been Saturday before.
Any further discussion on
Thank you,
this?
Gary.
Won't bother me any.
Gary's gonna like the music.
Yeah.
7:23, Saturday night.
Saturday night, yeah.
Got
All
a
right.
men's softball tournament that weekend, so I'm all set.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Jess?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. Next is the MOU for Hardwick Police Department.
The Hardwick Police Department is in a tough spot. Many departments around the state are experiencing similar shortages of staff. They have reached out to us. Currently, they have an acting chief. Did that change or that's still?
Why still the acting chief?
Okay. So they have an acting chief currently who is doing administrative duties there. They have 2 part-time officers that are conducting patrols, but they have not been in a full-time academy yet. They don't have certifications to investigate some of the more major crimes. We have our officers, in fact, Jason, the chief, has already been up to Hardwick to investigate an overdose death. The Warren County Sheriff went up 2 weeks later to investigate another overdose death. Hardwick is looking to enter into an MOU for a limited period of time until they can get their officers through the academy. The MOU states clearly that the investigation would be for major felonies only. This would not be a call for investigating a minor car accident. These would be major and significant felonies that their staff not currently qualified to investigate. The control of the officer while they're up there is under the supervision and control of our department, not the Hardwick Police Department. So the investigation is run by our office, not theirs. And I think the intent is for this to run currently until June 30th of 23. So the remainder of this fiscal year and all of fiscal year 23. This was a late submission to you folks. If you'd like to take some time and read this.
What's that going to do to our department?
It's, if you read the first paragraph, if staffing allows.
Oh, okay.
They're also reaching out to the state police and the sheriff's department to do pretty much the same thing as far as an MOU goes. So they're hoping somebody will have one person that could go up there and help them out if a serious call comes in.
How many people do they have on staff now, Jason, up there, do you know?
Right now, I believe it's just those 2 officers who are both part-time certified plus the active chief. And they should have 7 total.
So does the, number 2, does a fee go directly to the officer or back to the town?
Now, that $92 fee includes not only their overtime rate of pay, but it also covers the town's expenses for their retirement, FICA, Medicare, all those things that we have to take
Okay.
out, along with $16 per hour fee for the use of a car.
Okay.
It's all incorporated into the $92 an hour fee. Roger, and I talked to the sheriff, he indicated that his agreement with them was gonna be for $80 an hour if they were officers on straight time, or $100 an hour if they were on overtime. And I said, well, the figure we came up with was $92, no matter what the hour was, and that's the way we're gonna run it, because it was too confusing for the finance office to try and figure out if an officer went up there on straight time or overtime, or if he switched over overtime when he was there. We're just gonna charge one flat rate fee. We're not trying to make money on this, but we're not looking to inflict any more pain on our finance department here.
So do we want to have a motion for this?
Yes, please.
So I wanted to ask a question about number 3. So we would be reimbursed for any special non-durable equipment that we use?
That is correct.
So that's above and beyond the $92?
That is correct.
Okay.
Evidence bags, drug test kits, third aid bags for cell phones, or personal protective equipment, and other issues like that that might come into play.
And I assume it includes, it would be in addition to all the paperwork and stuff that's required. I'm sure there's plenty of that takes place after the fact, and if they have to go to court or anything like that, it would all be,
That'll all be billed out.
it'd be billed out at the hourly rate, correct?
Yeah, it's my understanding that this is mostly gonna be on, we're not gonna take a patrol officer that's down here on duty, on shift, to go up there to handle a call. We'll be calling somebody out, so they'll be going up on overtime.
Right,
Yeah, we won't leave the town unprotected or without a
right,
officer.
no, yeah, understand, yep, thank you.
Do I hear a motion regarding this?
I'll make the motion that we approve the MOU with the Hardwick Police Department.
I have a motion by Gary, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Brian.
I'm glad we can help
Further
our
discussion?
neighbors. Hopefully it works out good.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jess?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. All right, next, approve the warrants. Do I hear a motion to approve the warrants?
Make a motion to approve them.
I have a motion by Brian,
Second.
second by Judy. Any further discussion on these?
Everybody.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Judy? Or, excuse me, Jess?
Aye.
Thank you. The warrants are passed unanimously. It's not easy to do these meetings with a member on Zoom. You think I get used to it, I do it every day almost, but you don't get used to it.
It's not as fun. I'd rather be there in person.
Yeah, I have a good appreciation now, Jess, for what you're going through right now, because I've attended some of these meetings on Zoom, and it's really difficult. And I'm looking forward to having an upgrade in our whole system here soon, so we can do a better job of handling them virtually.
I have to say the sound is much better than it used to be.
That's
Back
good.
when I attended before I was a member, so.
That's good feedback. The last BCA meeting was chaos for me at home. You know, Sarah.
Green Mountain Access TV has been wonderful to work with. They came in today. The 2 microphones you see on the table there, actually they took from another town office because they knew this was our
Informational.
morning meeting, informational meeting. They did a lot of work, just checking the quality. That's why the microphones moved to the front and most likely will stay in that position going forward.
Great.
They've been super, super supportive.
Okay, town administrators report.
Well, a lot of this I already went over because it came up during conversation, so this is going to be brief. I had met myself and Jason and Kevin from the highway department. We all met with Morristown Water and Light. They have a requirement to conduct a full-scale drill this year of the catastrophic failure of the Green River Reservoir Dam. It's going to entail a lot of support from state emergency management. The emergency management director for the town, I'll reach out to them, coordinate with the staff they have to do this full time. So we're looking to get this scheduled further out in the fall. We get to our busy construction season for the highway department, because one of the things that probably ever gets tested during this isn't so much the response and the fire department's evacuation drills or anything like that. It is the aftermath, meaning our response to recovery. So I really am looking to use the highway department in an active role, or at least have them present in the room during the drill to simulate the use of them and then staging their vehicles, thinking through the process. You need vehicles on the other side of the river. Bridges could be taken out. They might not have easy access to the other side of town. So there are a lot of thought processes that go into this and a lot of planning ahead of time. So we'll add that to the list of things to do this summer along with all the construction projects we have. It looks like we have an animal control officer. I met a couple of times now with John St. Amour. He is a recent addition to our community. He married one of our local residents, and he is from the Chittenden County area, was in Williston for many years, and had sought to be their animal control officer, but they had one who had been serving for 40 years and decided not to give it up. That's not the case here. Our 40-year veteran has decided that it's time to move on. So John, we met with him, Brian and Bob and I met with him here and just talked about his willingness or wanting to serve in that capacity and what it might look like. He enjoys giving to the community that he lives in. He doesn't have enough free time with the family and his work to join the fire department, which he'd been asked to do, as he has a background in firefighting. But for the time that he has available, he thought he could help out and inquire about the animal control position. So I advertised on the Front Porch Forum a couple months ago. So I will bring him to you, to the board, the first meeting in March when you're doing your other appointments. This is an appointed position, not an elected position. So you'll get to meet him and ask him questions and get him appointed in March. We'll work with Brian and get to know the processes here. And I have given him a copy of our animal control ordinance for him to read. I gave him one from Johnson as well, so that you can compare the two. We might have some input on changes that we might make, and bring those to you possibly in the future. We also have a candidate for tree warden. Jess, did you hear that? Tree warden. She's still there? Jess brought it to our attention.
I'm so excited. I was 10.
Jess brought this to our attention a couple of months ago that the tree warden position had been vacant for a while, but it's an important position for many different reasons in our community. We did not get any response from our Front Porch Forum. It is kind of a specialized area. So I took it upon myself to reach out to Fran Sladek. Fran is a forester. He works full-time for Butternut Mountain Farms as their forester. And he he has done work for us through the Act 50 permit. He's drawn the forestry plan up for the New Hamlin pit. He's done this as a sideline for years. Has done the forest management jobs around the state. Very, very qualified, and said he would be happy to help us out. In terms of VLCT, you do not have to be a resident of the town in which you serve as tree warden, and the friend lives in Hyde Park, so that wasn't an issue, and he was happy to help out. So I'll bring him to you in March to be appointed, if you so choose, and you can ask him about his credentials and his background, which he's more familiar than I am. Sure. I've known Frank since grade school, so he's a couple of years younger than I am. Grew up with a great family, so. That's all I know.
Amazing.
Right in our own backyard, Jess.
I wanted to ask you about if the Green Mountain Reservoir, there was a failure there, what areas would be impacted?
Well, the brook comes out of there, the water would follow that channel right down across Route 15, most likely take out a large chunk of Route 15, with along the river valley, and would come right down through the middle of Morristown. The depths have been estimated. I don't remember what they are. Last time I was involved in one of these was in 05 or 06 when I was in police work. But pretty much the water comes up into the area of the movie theater, or maybe above the movie theater.
Right.
Yeah,
Above the movie theater?
Yeah, that's correct.
Pretty
Just
near
down
up
the
to this
road
level.
here.
Yeah,
Our feet wouldn't quite get wet here.
right,
Yeah.
just barely below here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking not the top of the movie theater,
No,
but just to
no.
the building. I was thinking we're
Now,
gonna.
if you want one of the upstairs screens, you can probably keep watching your movie. Yeah.
If the power didn't go out, you'd be all set.
The thing about the catastrophic failure of the dam is that the wave that would come through would be very, very fast. It would come through, it would do significant damage, and do so from here all the way to Lake Champlain. On its way down through, and we have lots of cornfields for the water to spread out in, but it would still have quite a bit of force to it, a lot of volume. But unfortunately, we would be the bearers of the first bad news, and we have just over an hour to respond before the lead end of the water hits our village.
Wow, okay.
Okay. Is that it, Eric?
That is it.
Any
Okay,
questions for
I have
Eric?
another
I
question.
just want to commend you on getting a dog officer, because it'll save me quite a lot of time. I stopped in the drugstore to get my wife a Valentine's Day card a few days before Valentine's. And an hour and 15 minutes later, I left there, listening to the dog problem. Good thing I didn't wait till the last minute to get my dog.
What process is there in place to let people know that the dam's failing?
So that's a great question, and it's better answered by Water and Light. They have those procedures that they're actually the ones being tested. I'm hijacking their process a little bit to test our people. The fire department's been involved in this in the past, the police department as well. We've never incorporated the highway department as part of a recovery effort or staging type of thing to try and figure out the best place to place them or place to leave the work out of. So that's why I wanted to bring them in on it as well. All of this and the hazard mitigation plan that you have for review next month, they all kind of work hand in hand, because the hazard mitigation plan identifies areas in which we want to increase training. And one of those areas is the incident command system training. It's been in the works since the 90s. It was developed with the fire service out west when they had massive wildfires that crossed state lines. And it was impossible to try and track with no system in place, impossible to track staffing and equipment, communications, and so on and so forth. So it's really a fire service project. It's the communications setup and the tracking of staff and finances and public information officers. It's all incorporated into that training. Currently, I don't know that we've had any training in this county in incident command for a good number of years. We have some new volunteers in our agencies, our service agencies, so I thought it was a great time for us to reinstitute that and get folks refresher training for those that have had in the past, and then get new folks trained up on it. There's some online training, and in fact, you can get all of the training done online through ICS 300 level, which is a management level. just not a fan of online learning for this stuff. It really works better when you're in a room full of your peers and you're conversing and talking through problems and having to make that coordinated effort. So I'm going to see to have the beginning or the earlier trainings we've done online, but we'll follow through on the more senior levels with in-person training. We'll get an expert to come from emergency management to do that.
Are the towns downstream part of this training as well?
They are not. This test is simply a test of water and lights response and reaction. They have alarms in place all through that corridor where the water would travel that alert them and to tell them that there is the water has reached a level that would indicate they have dam breach. They have a response to that where they have trails in the woods from there is safe from the water where they can get their people up there within a matter of minutes and through the woods and to the dam where they have eyes on the dam to be able to report back what the level of breach is. It's pretty interesting to watch it in play, and then we just train for what we hope never happens.
Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting because I know I'm heavily involved in 84 and 94 floods, and well, it's quite tricky to get out of town. Just with a normal flood, if there is such a thing, it takes a lot of work to even just get out of town.
Sure does. Yeah. This will happen very fast.
All right, any other questions for Eric? Thanks, Eric. Select board concerns. Jess?
My only comment is just to go back to the question about the RSVP program. And I really appreciated how Gary read from the town report on the E=mc². And I just went back and read about RSVP in the town report. So I feel like if people read that, they'll understand what that $1,000 goes for. And it was, as Judy, as far as I can understand from what I'm reading, it's what Judy was referring to, that it's part, it's sponsored by the Central Vermont Council on Aging. It is a national organization. Offices are located in Morrisville, Barre, and St. Jay. So I don't know if indeed the offices still are in Morrisville. And also the contact is Dan Noyes to learn more about it. So that's all I have for community concerns.
Thank you.
Select board concerns.
Oh, go ahead. That's it? Gary?
Yeah.
I guess just a quick update on the Walton Road Bridge. I've been trying to fast track that to get bids as soon as possible, but looks like we may have to put that off for a little bit. Some of my contacts from past experience, it may take a while to get some of the supplies to fix that. So it's going to take some investigating and try to figure out how to be able to get that thing taken care of. If we have a failure in a deck like we did last year, it would be okay if it's on the same side as last year, and you could use it as a one-way bridge. But if it happens to be a failure on the other side, then it would require closing of the bridge entirely. So yeah, there's some things to be worked out there.
Is the condition of the bridge right now, so if we were to post it to a lower weight limit, it would help? And what kind of a hardship it would put on?
Yeah,
milk haulers and, you know, and there's another way they can go, but I know
there's a couple different directions they can go, but it's
you know what I mean? No, we did that. We've done that before.
Right.
To save the life of it until we can get it fixed.
Well, I'd like to do a little more investigating on it first, and then because I think there's a way that we can negotiate around the thing, as far as materials are concerned.
Yeah.
But it's gonna take quite a lot of background work, you know, to get done in the next few weeks to try to figure it out.
Thanks for doing that.
But, we're plugging away at it, trying to figure out the best and most cost-effective way of getting it done. Other than that, I think, pretty well set. I'm not sure where we stand with the dual handle pit. I haven't heard anything on that lately, but.
Nothing yet. Nothing yet.
I know it's supposed to be in the works, and I've been pressuring some people that need to get pressured, so. Again, more to come on that.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Judy?
I don't have anything.
Brian?
I'm all set.
Okay, I actually have, I have a statement that I wrote in regards to some of the comments that were made on social media. And I first want to say that, you know, I realize that as a select board member or any public official, you have to, you know, take the high road in situations when you can. You have to have thick skin, you know, when you get insults or something said to you. And, but I think it's really gone too far in some situations. And I've got a statement that it's a little bit lengthy, but I took a lot of time to think about it, and I was even at the point where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just resign. Because, you know, I don't think public servants should go through the kind of abuse that we've all been dealing with for the past year. And I don't know if it's because sign of the times or, you know, what's going on in the world, and people seem to have distrust over their public service people. And I just think it's really sad. It makes me really sad. You know, I've given my life to Morristown. I mean, big chunk of it. And I've got something I want to read here. It's a little bit lengthy, but I want to read it. First off, saying, I just heard an old saying said to me recently that made me realize how true it is. It doesn't matter what the truth is. People will only believe what they want to believe. So I want to address an email that I received last week. The email said it was inappropriate for me to make those comments about Gary Nolan and sign it as the Morristown Selectboard chair. While the author of the email wasn't disagreeing or agreeing, he felt I shouldn't have used my title. I used my title because I was responding to my position in the town, protecting it from the allegation of corruption, which I take very seriously. My original posting was in response to incorrect information from a Front Porch Forum post, an article, and other places as well. I very much took offense to all of it as the select board chair because none of it was true. I felt like it was my duty to respond to the allegations as the town select board chair and not as a private citizen. When those things were said about Gary, it's also a direct attack on the town because that means that we are all corrupt if we knowingly sit back and allow those kind of behaviors to happen and say nothing or do nothing about it. And it doesn't matter if we were talking about a select board member, which in this case it was, or a town employee, a department head, the town administrator, the zoning administrator, or any of the town staff. If I see it and know it's not true, I will respond to any and all negative accusations because it's still an attack on the town and its integrity in a wrongful way. I said those comments that I did about Gary to describe a little better the kind of person he is, not the person that people are making him out to be. He has done decades of community service for this town. And I also especially find this offensive too, because I too have given our community a combination of 64 years of public and community service. I served over 33 years on Morristown Rescue, 17 years as a part-time police officer, and 14 years now on the select board, as well as almost 40 years for the world's leading ore manufacturer, where I sat on the donations team for many years as we gave thousands of dollars to organizations in Morristown. That doesn't mean I think that we're above the law, because we're certainly not. But it should give us some credibility and respect and the benefit of the doubt to have open conversations and not be accused on social media without any questions coming to us first. Gary Nolan has spent thousands of hours giving his time and knowledge to the community as well, and I believe he should be honored, not ridiculed and criticized. I feel like asking those who are making these negative comments, what have you done for the community? If the select board thought for 1 second that Gary was ever acting inappropriately or had a conflict of interest on anything that led to some kind of personal or financial gain, we would have removed him from the DRB immediately. Suggesting someone gained financially or personally without evidence or cause is trying to create a false narrative to fit an agenda. Gary has had a successful career by his own dedication and hard work, and he did not get benefit from serving the town. If anyone suspects or knows of anything that is wrong and can prove it or show enough evidence worth investigating, they should reach out to myself, one of my fellow board members, or the town directly. Every one of us on this board is accessible. If things are happening that are not right, we all want to hear about them. I had a consultation with a town attorney a few years ago about conflicts of interest after a discussion about members serving on more than one board. He told me that in very small towns like Morristown, it's very common to have the same people serve in different roles on different boards, and it's perfectly okay. They just need to recuse themselves on anything that might be a conflict of interest. And I know Gary has always done just that. One of those accusations was about Gary's behavior around the ATV issue. When we revisited the ATV issue after Gary first got on the board, he reached out to me right away, as I remember it, and he told me he was the treasurer of VASA, because I didn't even know that. He told me he would recuse himself in any votes about the ATVs, and that's exactly what he did. Although it ended up being a moot point anyway, because we took the issue to the voters and had them make the decision, not the select board. And we never even got a thanks for doing that. I know some people are saying that he was pushed to recuse himself, but that's absolutely not true. I didn't even know he was the treasurer of VASA until he told me that he would recuse himself from voting on that issue. This happened when he joined our board. Gary wasn't even on the select board yet when we first had the issue come before us and when we granted the use of the Silver Ridge Road. And to address another false statement that portrays the board as a good old boys club, there has never been such a thing. In the 14 years I've served, there have been 10 different men and 4 different women on the select board, and all of different ages, different family status, different political affiliations, and from very different backgrounds. The only 2 that are the same on the board during that time are Brian Kellogg and myself. And we don't have a majority in any vote, and we don't always vote on the same way on every issue either. I respect his difference of opinion on things, and I know he does mine. And as far as me signing my title as select board chair to a post, it doesn't matter to me if we're in the middle of an election or not. I didn't actually endorse Gary as a candidate in that post. I was addressing false comments that were accusatory toward the town, and I was letting people know what kind of man Gary is. And if somebody says or prints something that I know is not true about any of the town staff, I'm going to speak out about it and correct them. And it will be as the Morristown Select Board chair, not as a private citizen. All of the town boards and staff hold ourselves to very high standards, being constantly in the public eye. I learned that from the very beginning when I got on the board in 2008, and I've never forgotten it. We have an amazing town staff, and I'm super proud to be involved with them and be on this board. And I will always support all of them as select board chair. And if people aren't happy with that, they certainly can run for my seat in March of 2024. I will just end by saying that it is an exciting time in Morristown right now, with so many that are interested in getting involved in town government. I think it's awesome that we have 8 candidates vying for 3 seats on the select board. In the past, we've had many times where people ran unopposed from term to term, and then there was a little interest to serve on the select board. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Is there any other business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Is it second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Jess. We are now adjourned.